How's it going, everyone? This is Fine Gaming Connoisseur, and welcome back to this Let's Play of Mortal Online, the Second Era. Today you're watching episode 72, and today this is a continuation of my player progression guide that I started some time back, and today's episode is going to be about situational awareness. Okay, so I'm going to do this episode in one of the most dangerous places in Myland, namely the Chindren front gates. This is a place where players can get killed, but thankfully there's a guard here, so yeah, should be quite safe here for now. Alright, so today I want to talk about some of the things that I feel that a player should be aware of, and I think this is one of the most important things that you'll ever need to master or learn, if not the most important. So as you know, this game is first person only, and so you do not have a third person view, and that means that whatever you see in front of you is what will be visible to you at any given time. And so you do need to be, so when you're playing this game, you do need to be fully aware of your surroundings, 360 degrees, and if you're on a hill, then you need to be aware of anything that's below you or above you if you're downhill. And so really, when you're in town, it is not safe either. Even when you're in the presence of guards, you've got to watch out for thieves, because, as you know, when you're in a first-person view, anyone can sneak up behind you or to your flank where it's not visible to you. And so if you're not aware, if you're not careful, and you're not looking around to make sure there's no one following you or trying to sneak up behind you, then they can steal from you when you're in town. And if you're in the wilderness, people can sneak up behind you and attack you or steal from you. So just to give you an example of what I mean by situational awareness when it comes to being aware of your surroundings. And the guy just, okay, I thought he lost his head. So let's use this guard here as a point of reference. So if you look carefully, right now you can see him, but if I just turn to this direction, you can no longer see him anymore. So really, if anyone is standing in that position, then he's not even 180 degrees to your left or right, but you can't see him anymore, as you can see. So it's always a good idea to turn around every now and then, just to inspect your surroundings and make sure that there's no one out of your field of view. There are some ways that might help you if the person is outside of field of view, but it's only to slightly off. If it's daytime, then you can probably see him if the sun is to your left and the sun casts a shadow, and you can see the shadow. Then that might give you some, that might help you a little bit. It might help you to notice that someone is indeed nearby, but is outside of your field of view. And likewise, if the sun is behind your back and you're looking somewhat to the ground, then if someone's trying to sneak up behind you, then you might be able to see their shadow, hopefully. But don't rely on that. I would always say you need to rely on basically it's always best to just turn around every now and then. Okay, so that's one thing. And so that's one thing that I think players need to master, because I think a lot of times, people are oblivious to their surroundings, and I think that's where a lot of griefing happens either people get stolen from or they get attacked or something like that. Okay, so that's another thing that I want to... So one other thing that I feel is important is the use of cover. And this is important whether you're in town or not. So let me just get to this tree. And I have used this tree before in the past to as cover in one of my episodes. So this tree here is a good example of use of cover. Now, if you're in the wilderness and you need to stop, let's say you need to wait for your your stamina to recharge, then you can use cover such as this tree or other trees or other cover that you see, maybe rocks or any object that will obstruct people's view. So that if you're standing, let's say, behind this tree, then you won't have to worry about people sneaking up on behind you, because effectively people cannot see you and they cannot do things to you while you're standing behind cover. So really, when this is good, because that means you only need to worry about what's in this cone of view. And I have mentioned this before in a number of episodes, but I'll just mention it now because number one, this is I'm doing this episode on situational awareness, and also it's probably one of those things that it's kind of like common sense. When you're playing this game, you need to always be aware of what is around you and use cover whenever you can. And so this is a good thing that you can do whenever you're out in the wilderness. Always use cover when you're standing still, and when you need to rest or whatever, sleep and things like that. And so that's another thing as well, so just keep that in mind. And the other thing that you should be aware of as well is when you're out in the wilderness, and this is mostly especially at night, if you need to bring a torch, I would really recommend that you use the torch sparingly. It doesn't matter whether you're outdoors in the wilderness or in a cave or in a dungeon. If you need to use a torch, use it very, very sparingly. And I learned this the hard way. There was one time when I was in the wilderness, and I was running around with a torch, and it was late at night. It was very dark, but I ran around with the torch, and it just so happens that there were two player killers nearby, and they saw my torch from very far away, and they came up and killed me. And so that was a very painful lesson for me. But so just to show you what I mean by I haven't equipped my torch yet. So if you look at this, difference, if this is late at night, you're going to be very, very visible, and even from a far away distance, I think people can see your torch. So if you need to use the torch, use it only for a few seconds at a time. And I would recommend that if you use a torch, then after that you should try and find cover to conceal yourself. So that's one of the great things about this game, is that it is not like other games like in other MMORPGs where you need to take precautions like this. There are other games that probably has this sort of you probably need to take these kind of precautions, but I feel that in my opinion, Mortal Online is even more so, because of the fact that it's first person only, and so really you really need to be aware of what you see and what you hear. And that brings up another good point as well. If you're using a shield, just let me bring it out. Let's say the sun is above you, it's broad daylight, and you've got a shield that reflects the sunlight. Then it can make you a bit more visible as well. It's almost like having a torch in daytime, because if someone is around and they can see your reflection, the reflection from your shield, or other things like your armor, or maybe even your weapon, then it could make you more visible, and so that you probably want to, be facing, keep your shield facing away from the sun, so that it doesn't cast that reflection. But it's nighttime now, so I probably won't have to worry about that, so much. But still, you always have to be on guard and never let your guard down, because if you do, then that could be the thing that kills you. I think player killers and reds and criminals and thieves, they're probably, I think they exploit this kind of player complacency. They, if they think that you're not situationally aware, then they will probably exploit that to their advantage, and so just be aware of that. And another thing that I'll probably bring up as well is the what you wear, the armor that you're wearing. I think several months back, I think earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken, SV has implemented this. The material that your boots are made out of is the sound that you will make when you walk or run. And so if you're, and I've tested this out. Last time when I was wearing the Colored Laminar boots, it made a different sound. It made sort of like a kind of like a chainmail kind of sound when you're walking, and when you're wearing other boots, like let's say the Tyndremic Scale, it makes a different sound as well. Now I'm not too sure whether that sound is going to be obvious to other players. I'm not too sure about that one, but that's one thing that you probably want to be aware of, is the material that your boots are made out of, because it will make some different sounds, and so it just reminded me, sometimes I see players without some players who are fully armored from head to their ankles, but they don't wear anything on their feet, and for some time I wondered why they do that, but now I think it's because they don't want to give away their presence to other players. So that might be the reason why they don't wear boots. Some players, they're fully armored, but the only place that is not protected is their feet. So that's probably one thing that you want to keep in mind as well. Personally, I prefer to be armored from head to toe, even though I don't think a lot of times if you're engaged in PvP, players are going to target your feet. They'll probably go for your head or your torso or your arms, or maybe even your legs, but not your feet. But that's really player preference. If you want to wear boots or not, it's really up to you. But that's probably one thing that you'll want to be aware of. It's all part of situational awareness, and I think that's what makes this game fun as well. Part of what makes this game fun is the need for situational awareness. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I said that this is probably one of the most important, if not the most important thing that you will need to master: situational awareness. You can have this, you can be eating the wrong food, or wearing the wrong kind of armor or weapons. That might not kill you, but if you're not situationally aware in this game, it can very well lead to your death. And I think that's the one thing that a lot of players have trouble with when they're playing this game, because this game is just so different to a lot of the MMORPGs out there. Like, and I think a lot of MMORPGs, they don't enforce first person view, and the need for situational awareness and that sort of thing. So I think a lot of new players who first play this game for the first time, they step in and then they just wander around, and they're oblivious to what's going on around them, and things happen to them, and they get frustrated, and then some people might rage quit and that sort of thing. But if you can master situational awareness, if you can master it well, and even develop your own techniques and tactics, then I think you'll do very well in this game. And so, okay, so I think that's all I want to cover today. So let me just sprint back to town. So it is pretty quiet tonight. So it is still not the end of the year yet. It's there's still 2 days left before New Year's Eve, and fortunately I was able to play this game from time to time. So okay, so there's several guards here, so I should be quite safe here. But like I mentioned, you can never let your guard down at any time, even in the presence of guards, because these guards, they are not omnipotent. They are not all powerful. If enough player killers come, they can probably take one down, or they can just distract the guards and make them chase after them, and while they're at it, another group of player killers can come along and kill players in this area. So this game is not an easy game. It's not an easy place to survive in, but that's the way I like it. I like games that are not easy. I like games like this, and so that's another reason why I play this game. So yeah, I'm really happy to be playing this game, and so I enjoy it. It's a great game. All right, so thanks for watching this episode, and so I hope that this has been helpful for you. And is that a syndromic commoner? It looks like it. Yeah, it is. So I hope that this has helped you, and so if you could please like, comment, subscribe, and share. So I look forward to seeing you in my future episodes. So this is Fun Gaming Connoisseur. Take care.